Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Sharon Bown, and joining us this evening from the Australian Army is Major Charles Cromholt. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching this broadcast live across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. I now invite you to please stand and join me in singing the national anthem. Those that require a seat, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Sergeant William Allan Beard. William Beard was born in Sydney on the 20th of February 1920, the son of William and Catherine Beard of the Sydney suburb of Strathfield. William's junior's father was English and his mother was born in Ireland. The two separated and his mother moved to Mittagong, where she became involved in dairy farming and took the surname Moore. The young William Beard attended Bowral High School, where he represented the school in football and athletics before going on to study at Sydney University. While working in Leichhardt as a ledger keeper and cashier, he paraded part-time with the 1st Heavy Battery, Royal Australian Artillery. He had been with the Militia Reserve Unit for almost a year when he applied to become an air crew member on the Royal Australian Air Force in December 1939, obtaining his mother's signature to do so. In May the following year, he enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force Reserve and was finally called up in October 1940. After attending initial training school at Bradfield Park, Beard left Australia on the 17th of February 1941, 3 days before his 21st birthday, arriving in southern Rhodesia, modern-day Zimbabwe, in late March. Southern Rhodesia was wild frontier country with few landmarks, so good dead reckoning navigation was vital. The veldt was alive with huge herds of game, which the air crews shamelessly buzzed. Crews got lost, sometimes fatally, and survival training was taken seriously. Beard attended number 27 Elementary Flight Training School, Guinea Fowl, and then number 22 Special Flight Training School, Thornhill, training to be a pilot. In August, he was promoted to temporary sergeant. Shortly afterwards, he was transferred to number 71 Operational Training Unit at Ismaila Airfield in Egypt, where he completed his training before being posted to number 3 Squadron in February 1942. One of the most active squadrons in the Royal Australian Air Force, number 3 Squadron was a jack of all trades. In addition to the conventional reconnaissance and ground attack roles of an Army cooperative squadron, it defended ground forces and bombers from enemy aircraft and conducted strikes against enemy shipping. When Beard joined the squadron, it was involved in the seesawing war in North Africa. In early April, the squadron began intensive training to prepare for a new campaign in which they had been earmarked to fly their Kitty Hawks as fighter bombers. This meant learning the techniques of dive bombing in order to counter the increasing numbers of enemy who were already experts. On the 16th day of April, Beard and 2 other pilots were taking 3 Kitty Hawks to Geneva for Indian change. After taking off from Sidi Hanesh at 4 p.m., Sergeant Beard's engine failed. He tried to turn back, but the aircraft spun in and burnt. His body was pulled from the wreckage and he was later buried at El Alamein War Cemetery. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today besides the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Sergeant William Allan Beard, who gave us his life for our freedoms and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age will not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. Please feel free to visit the poppy display in the grounds as you leave. We thank you all for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and we wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.